Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Roger channel, and today we're taking a look at the Stars of Black series, Rook Kast from Maul Shadowlord line. Taking a look at the front of the box, of course it does feature the Black series logo, the figure, and the accessories shown right here in this massive window. Her name, the name or the number in which she falls into the lineup, and the name of that lineup right there. And of course, you get this amazing artwork on the side mural. And like I've said before, by adding other figures from the same lineup, you can create a mural. So here's Maul that we previously reviewed alongside Rook Kast. On the back, you get a much larger portrait of the character, a description, then a bunch of falls to the lineup, and a few warnings. Here's the side of the box, bottom, and top. So go ahead and review her, and we'll get her out of this box. And here she is out of the packaging. And take a closer look at the figure. She looks pretty good. The overall look of her armor, is very eye-catching. But of course, we'll go ahead and start from top to bottom. Checking out the head sculpt, it looks really cool. Of course, it captures her just like, in the animated show. But I am loving it. You get some nice printing in the eyes right here. Of course, the eyebrows, things like that. Her lips. And then this awesome sort of like violet colored hair really brings it out. And of course, you get some pretty decent articulation, side to side, back and forward, with the amount of articulation in the neck and the top of the head. Checking out the torso, she has a very different look to her Mandalorian armor. Instead of it being the traditional sort of like chest piece, things like that, it looks more like a harness. So it is connected right here with some straps, and then of course it has the plate right here, and even like smaller plates around the ab section, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I never really noticed that until now. So besides that, she does have some really nice colors going throughout it. More of this maroon, sort of like darker red, and you do get sort of like darker gray tones, a lighter gray for the undershirt and around the collar. So that's pretty cool seeing that sort of like combination. And she does come pre-equipped with, I guess, an accessory question mark. And the reason I'm saying that is because she does come, like I was saying, pre-equipped with a jetpack or this sort of like accessory piece. But here's the weird thing, I'm kind of scared that if I had gotten a lemon or it is just normal. But let me try and bring it in. So I was just fiddling with it, trying to make sure it was like correct. But now I'm kind of fearful because I don't want to pull it out all the way. I'm kind of scared to actually even attempt it here on camera, but this is as far as I'm going to go. So as you can see, it is connected almost like a peg to her back. But the reason I'm scared to actually pull it off is because, I don't know if you noticed, I'm going to zoom in on that specific piece of plastic right here. Let's see if I can get the lighting. It's almost like it was like painted onto her. So it ripped off a little bit of paint, which is kind of disappointing there on her harness piece. And now I'm kind of fearful of even removing this accessory, or even if it is supposed to be removable. But yeah, it's kind of shocking and also disappointing. But there's her jetpack. It has 2 little missiles and then the little boosters. No attachments like Boba Fett's jetpack where you can place the flames. It's just meant to be right here. But besides that, she does have a ball joint right here in the lower waist, side to side, back and forward. So you can at least move around pretty decently. And now checking out the arms. The arm does stick out about there. It does go all the way around with ease. Surprisingly, she does have an elbow joint right here. Also pinless joint figure, so it is somewhat good. It goes up about there, swivel, and around the wrist and at the sort of like articulation right here. Again, I don't know that it's something new or that they are doing with the newer versions of the figures, but I did notice that if you kind of stress the wrist a bit, it comes off the peg. So like this, it comes off the ball joint. And again, this is a very interesting thing because it's a ball joint instead of having the traditional sort of like joint that they usually use, similar to this. I don't know if that's newer for these figures, things like that, but that is kind of interesting to see because now that's something I want to be very careful about, especially if they are carrying a more heavier accessory. I don't want them falling off. And the same for this arm as well. Goes around with ease, things like that, so you're able to move around. Elbow joint goes up, has a swivel, and of course that same sort of movement in the wrist at the hand. Taking a look at the waist, she has a very unique sort of like comma piece right here. So it lays down very nicely around her hips, things like that. And this is very interesting. The pistols, in a minute I'll show them. They do have pegs, which is something I've never seen before. And they actually go on the sides of her hips instead of using traditional holsters. Taking a look at the legs now, she almost goes into a full-on split, but due to the sort of like comma piece, it restricts her. She's able to sit down. Her legs go back pretty good. She does have a swivel around the thigh. Checking out those knee joints, she is able to go a little bit, well, more so into a normal sort of like kneeling position, but similar to like the clone troopers, she does have like those rubber little like backings for the knee sort of like pads. So that does kind of get in the way a little bit, but it does a good job of hiding those joints. And then checking out the boots right here, she does have like some shin guards. The feet point down, they do point up, and there is some rock ankles. Seems good action poses. And now taking a look at the accessories, she has her helmet. And this is very interesting because, again, this is something new that I've never seen really on a Mandalorian figure, which now, instead of having, it being made of a softer plastic to fit over the head, it actually has its own peg. So this is a interchangeable helmet slash headpiece for the figure, which is cool. Of course, it gets the attention to detail right on point with the markings, the overall color scheme, and things like that. Even the battle damage and wear to the helmet is very impressive. And of course, to interchange the head, you would just pop it off the peg, just like that. Let's see here. There we go. So here she is with her helmet on, and you still get the same amount of movement and articulation, so that's good to know. And last but not least, the final accessory she comes with are her pistols. Taking a look at the pistols, we've seen this type of model many times before, but this time it's a little bit different, so we'll be taking a look at them separately, I guess. Let's see, I'll get it a little bit clearer for you guys. So, these Mandalorian pistols we've seen with Sabine Wren and some of the other Mandalorian loyalists, things like that. But this time around, it has some nice markings going throughout it, some black coloring, the red markings, and the sort of like gunmetal gray that goes throughout it. And then on this side, it has the small peg right here on the grip. And it's the same deal for this one too. All the little markings, things like that, and the peg on the opposite side. And here she is with the pistols equipped. And I gotta say, even though the hands are a little bit janky, things like that, she does hold them very well. And they literally mold to her hands. It's a perfect, fit, things like that, which I do appreciate. And with the sort of like dual trigger fingers, it was a must have for sure. And then, of course, real quick, before we go into the overview, in case you want to put away the pistols, you just attach them like that to the side of her hip. And now, as an overview of the figure, I kind of have some in-between thoughts. I'm actually surprised. I was really hyped to review Rook and to finally have her in my collection, but I'm not, 100% sure if it's just due to it being more of a lemon or or if it's actually meant to be this way. Don't get me wrong, the overall character is great. The figure, they got everything on point and recreated her from animated form to now an action figure that you can have in your collection. The reason why I keep on saying lemon is because I don't know for sure if this is how the figure is meant to be, but those sort of like fragile wrists are I'm not a big fan of those. This figure did not need any sort of like interchangeable hands and doesn't even come with interchangeable hands. So I don't get the reason behind that. The other one is that backpack accessory. I'm not sure if it was meant to be that way or if it's even removable, but now I kind of fear for losing accessories due to those sort of conditions. But besides that, it is a pretty decent character, and especially if you're a fan of, her appearance, whether in the Maul series or in the final season of the Clone Wars, she's definitely a must have. Overall, I think it is a pretty decent character, just with those little mishaps. And also, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it somewhat, informal, especially with those type of things. And if you did, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and follow me for more. And I'll catch you all on the next one.